Eren went from being a generic hot-headed and infantile boy to a genius man as it pertains to persuasion, power, and charisma. Society is on the fence in regards to whether they think Eren's actions are right or wrong, but that's up to debate, since everyone has a different point of view, so I'm not going to read too much into this particular subject, but rather I intend to focus my attention on the genius of this character. Keep in mind there are two Eren, the childish and innocent and the abrasive one. Eren is discussed by many, but it is an irrefutable fact his popularity among Attack on Titan fans. The quote-unquote villainous Eren is loved by much more people than the Eren from the first season, and that's because this Eren falls under the category of generic protagonists. Do we like evil people more than good people? Why exactly do we prefer Eren as an evil person? Is he better to be loved or feared? We can analyze this from two distinct standpoints. The first one being more grounded and true to reality. Well, Italian diplomat Machiavelli is of the thought that it's better to be feared than to be loved, because fear is something every single individual shares, while affection is relative from person to person. You can be loved by some and hated by others. In order for you to be loved, you have to have done something for people in exchange for their love, and it is impossible to do this with everyone. Therefore, it's way more practical to impose fear in people's hearts, because fear is general and irrespective of ideology. But say you were to choose one, the right choice would be to be feared. That's not to say you need to go out of your way to threaten others. You just need to make sure to let them know you are able to affect your offenders. A good example of this is the corporate world. It is vital to leave a good first impression. Show yourself to be endearing, but if you're viewed only as an affectionate person, the bad people would take advantage of you because you didn't present consequences for attacking you. So it's good to establish some tension along the lines of, I'm a nice guy, but don't try to pull a fast one on me. Now, from a personality standpoint, the quote-unquote bad Eren, on account of the stress and trauma of unveiling the truth of the world he lives in, Eren's reaction was his radicalization, and that's something realistic and conceivable. Even though he's quote-unquote bad, we can relate to that. The real-world people are not always kind-hearted and well-intentioned. Shonen protagonist. The world is a cruel place, and transformed Eren into a cruel person. Consequently, it's not that we like vile people, but human people. People whose values are coherent with them, and Eren is just that. Eren's charisma is based on power manifestations. He made it apparent when he invaded Liberio and chaos ensued. There are, however, subtle strategies he concocts that work very effectively whenever the situation does not require violence. The way Eren's charisma can be broken down is 5 power strategies. The first one is gather devotees for a bigger cause. Throughout history, human beings have showed a need to believe in something bigger, whether it be religion or energies surrounding the world or charismatic leaders considered the embodiment of the Messiah, something that guides them. Eren used this to his own benefit masterfully. He did this with the Jägerists, a large group of people who believed Eren would be the one to create the new Eldian Empire. All it took was to create a cause that aimed to restore their empire robbed by those monsters. When this cause was brought about, the citizens began to support this cause and viewed Eren as their savior. Eren used emotion as his cause instead of persuading the masses with more factual words like, we need more people to attain this goal. Put yourself in the shoes of a member of the Jägerists. Which of these phrases is more convincing? We need military power and an effective strategy, or you are a soldier and you need to fight to recover what's rightfully ours, the Eldian Empire. You see the difference? Create a common but fictitious cause that's bigger than you. You feel like you're part of something big. When you establish a cause by appealing to the emotional, you instantly win over many individuals. This is is a strategy that was used for the benefit of many politicians throughout history, because using this method is the simpler way to guide the masses and to create followers devoted to going huge lengths to have your plan consummated. This can be used for good and for bad, as in using empty promises to manipulate people. Imagine if you were working at a company as a junior and the workers around you are demotivated. Well, if you want to unite them and get them to stay focused on what matters, the shortest way would be to create an emotional cause. Don't use arguments and facts. Motivate them with the emotional. For example, when your boss convinces his company's staff to say something like, "We are still a small game developer, but we are going to expand our influence in the gaming world and set new standards for the industry." That's just a random example I can think of the top of my head, but you get the idea. The next strategy Eren uses to great effect is know your enemy, but don't let him know you. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. That's a quote from the book The Art of War. Eren took it to heart to know himself very well as his enemy, and it's very clear that Eren knew Reiner, but Reiner didn't know Eren anymore, because Eren was no longer the same person. You cannot predict the actions of someone you don't know, which led Reiner to construct misleading thoughts about Eren when he asked if Eren had come there to kill him. But Reiner further added that Eren said he would make an extra effort to guarantee that Reiner dies a painful death. Eren's response is like, "Did I say that? Or forget about it." Not even Eren himself knows who he was, only who he is now. So the element of surprise is in Eren's side in this situation. This strategy is applicable to dating also. When you know the person you're flirting with, but you don't let her know you, you will be steps ahead of her, whilst your partner will always seem predictable in your eyes. Yeager, Eren's older brother, caught everyone off guard through the same method. He had knowledge on the plan of the Paradise Island, and he knew what they wanted, but no one knew what he wanted. So Eren and his brother allied, and Zeke planned a conspiracy without anyone knowing. However, he had to deal with a certain someone. Anyways, Eren is not the type of person who would carelessly open himself about anything of personal interest. Eren's third strategy is he uses his absence to gain respect. The 16th law of the book, 48 Laws of Power. The law has it that the more you are seen and heard from, the more common you will appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. The human beings tend to value what's scarce. The moment Eren was most talked about was when he had been arrested for his attack on Liberio. He was the talk of the town. Some hated him, some loved him. Regardless, he was the most important thing to be discussed, and the more attention Eren was given, the more respected and influential he became. Over and above, the contrary is obviously possible. The more you see someone, the more common they will seem to you, and that prevents you from creating a powerful image of whoever it is you're seeing, since your eyes became accustomed to her. Think about someone you view as powerful. Then imagine that person lives with you and you see them every day. That powerful image you previously perceived would probably wane dramatically, but the law only applies to a person who had been relevant in a group. According to the law, the need to go absent only comes after you establish your presence. Take oneself off too early and you will be forgotten. It's no use just disappearing without leaving your mark and interacting with people. The only thing that skyrocketed Eren's quote-unquote popularity was that he played a significant role in the Paradise Island. The next aspect of Eren's charisma is his assertiveness. Eren is firm in his decisions. He doesn't hesitate and has full confidence and conviction in his resolve, because assertive individuals transmit more confidence, security, and they know what they're doing, and oftentimes this type of person occupies leadership positions. The contrary to this would be Armin, alert. He's an exceptional strategist, and thanks to him, humanity won against Titans on several occasions. However, he is not assertive. His plans are good and effective, but he does not demonstrate confidence. Whenever the situation calls for Armin's decisiveness, he comes off as insecure. Another character that is very assertive is the commander Erwin. The soldiers abide by his command because they know he's sure what he's doing is the right thing. If Eren were doubtful of his actions, like in the first seasons, people would not trust him and would not give him credibility, because there is no credibility without assertiveness. But being assertive is not the same as being bullheaded. People who make horrible choices and are unwilling to go back on their decision, even though there are clearly more convincing counter-arguments. That's being dumb. It is necessary to have extensive knowledge about what you're dealing with to be assertive. The fifth strategy of Eren's charisma is hide your intentions and create false ones. This practice is another law of power called the smoke curtain. Normally, it is recommended the use of this tactic in situations where you need to deceive someone who's trying to harm you by misleading your offender with false clues. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have, leave a like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.